Imagine a world where the price of everyday goods skyrockets, where American industries teeter on the brink, and where global trade transforms into a battleground. Sounds dramatic? That could be the reality if Trump's proposed tariffs come to life. But who really wins, and who loses? Today we unravel the intricate web of tariffs, industries at risk, and what it all means for the US economy. Stick with us because the answers might surprise you. Let's start with the basics: tariffs. These are essentially taxes imposed on imported goods. The goal? To make foreign products more expensive and encourage domestic production. On paper it sounds patriotic, a move to protect American jobs and industries. But is it really that simple? Consider this. Tariffs often lead to retaliation. Countries targeted by these taxes respond with their own measures, creating a domino effect. Think of it as a global trade war, where no one escapes unscathed. For context, during Trump's first term, tariffs on Chinese goods led to a tit-for-tat escalation, leaving industries like agriculture reeling. Farmers, for instance, found themselves stuck with unsold soybeans as China turned to other suppliers. Quick question: what's the one thing Americans love more than a good deal? A good cup of coffee. Now imagine your morning brew costing double because tariffs hike up the price of imported beans. Not so patriotic anymore, is it? Now, let's get into the heart of the matter. Industries most at risk. Manufacturing, agriculture, and retail are just a few sectors that could face significant challenges. Manufacturing. American manufacturing depends heavily on imported raw materials like steel and aluminum. If tariffs increase these costs, companies face a tough choice: raise prices or absorb the hit. Either way, the burden often shifts to consumers. Take the auto industry, for instance. Higher tariffs on steel could lead to pricier cars, impacting sales and jobs. Agriculture farmers, already grappling with unpredictable weather and fluctuating markets, could see tariffs as the final nail in the coffin. Crops like soybeans, corn, and wheat are heavily reliant on exports. If trading partners impose retaliatory tariffs, these farmers lose their biggest buyers. Retail giants rely on imported goods to stock their shelves. Clothing, electronics, even toys. Many of these items come from abroad. Tariffs increase costs, forcing retailers to either raise prices or cut corners. Remember the holiday shopping rush? Imagine it with half-empty shelves or skyrocketing prices. But here's the kicker. What if these tariffs don't just hurt businesses but also strain the wallets of everyday Americans? How much would you be willing to pay for patriotism? The effects of tariffs don't stop at industries, they ripple through the entire economy. Higher costs for businesses often translate to higher prices for consumers. Inflation rises, purchasing power shrinks, and the economy slows down. But what about the intended goal? Bringing jobs back to America? Let's dig deeper. The idea of tariffs is to create a level playing field for American workers. But here's the irony. Many jobs that disappeared didn't go to another country. They were automated. Robots don't care about tariffs. So even if factories return, will the jobs follow? Retaliatory tariffs could target American exports like whiskey, motorcycles, and tech products. For small businesses reliant on overseas markets, this could be a death blow. And let's not forget allies like the EU and Canada. Strained trade relations could lead to geopolitical tensions, making the world less stable. Speaking of stability, ever tried balancing on a seesaw with someone twice your weight? That's what it feels like for small businesses navigating a tariff-heavy economy. So where does that leave us? Trump's proposed tariffs may aim to protect American industries, but the potential fallout is far-reaching. Vulnerable sectors, rising costs, and strained global relations paint a complex picture. Curious about how other US policies could impact the economy and global standing? Check out our video on other USA news to stay informed. Because understanding today's challenges is the first step toward shaping a better tomorrow. Gap 3S. Let's take a trip down memory lane and explore historical examples of tariffs and their impacts. From the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930 to more recent trade wars, we'll examine how these policies shaped economies and what lessons we can learn. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, for instance, was introduced during the Great Depression, intending to protect American jobs and industries. However, it led to a significant decline in international trade, worsening the economic situation globally. Fast forward to the 21st century, and we see similar patterns. The trade wars initiated in recent years have shown us that protectionist measures often trigger retaliatory actions, hurting global supply chains and increasing costs for consumers. By understanding these historical precedents, we can better navigate the complexities of modern trade policies. History may not repeat itself, but it often rhymes, offering invaluable insights for today's economic challenges. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into these historical instances and uncover the lessons they hold for us. Because only by learning from the past can we hope to create a more informed and resilient future. Gap 3S. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content. Gap 3S. Now that we've explored the historical context, let's shift our focus to contemporary perspectives. In this chapter, we bring in expert opinions and interviews. Hear from economists, industry leaders, and policymakers as they weigh in on the potential impacts of Trump's tariffs. Their insights will provide a deeper understanding of the complexities involved. Gap 2S. Clip of an economist speaking. The tariffs imposed during Trump's administration have been a double-edged sword. While they aim to protect domestic industries, they also led to increased costs for consumers and strained international relations. Gap 2S. Clip of an industry leader. From the perspective of the manufacturing sector, these tariffs have been both a challenge and an opportunity. On one hand, they have incentivized local production, but on the other, they've disrupted global supply chains. Gap 2S. Clip of a policymaker. Policymaking in the realm of international trade is a delicate balancing act. The goal is to protect national interests without igniting a trade war that could have far-reaching negative impacts. Gap 2S. These varied viewpoints underscore the complexity of tariff policies and their far-reaching implications. By listening to those on the front lines, we gain a richer, more nuanced understanding of the economic landscape. Gap 3S. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content. Stay tuned for our next episode where we explore potential solutions and strategies for navigating the challenges posed by tariffs in the modern world. Gap 3S. Now that we've heard from experts on the multifaceted effects of tariffs, let's turn our attention to alternatives. What are the other economic policies that could protect domestic industries without the negative side effects? Gap 2S. First, let's consider subsidies. Gap 1S. Subsidies can provide financial support to local industries, making them more competitive without imposing additional costs on consumers. However, they also come with their own set of challenges, such as the risk of creating market distortions and the potential for misuse of funds. Gap 2S. Clip of an economist. Subsidies can be an effective tool for fostering industry growth, but they need to be carefully managed to avoid long-term dependency and ensure they are targeted at sectors that genuinely need support. Gap 2S. Another alternative is engaging in strategic trade agreements. Gap 1S. These agreements can open up new markets for domestic products and ensure fair trading practices. They often include clauses that protect key industries while promoting international cooperation. Gap 2S. Clip of a trade expert. Trade agreements can create a win-win situation by balancing the needs of domestic industries with the benefits of global trade. They require meticulous negotiation, but can lead to sustainable economic growth. Gap 2S. Lastly, there's the option of investing in innovation and infrastructure. Gap 1S. By enhancing technological capabilities and improving infrastructure, countries can boost the efficiency and competitiveness of their industries, making them more resilient to global market fluctuations. Gap 2S. Clip of a policy analyst. Investment in innovation and infrastructure is a long-term strategy that pays off by creating a robust economic foundation. It helps industries adapt to changing market dynamics and fosters sustainable development. Gap 2S. Gap 3S. In conclusion, while tariffs are one way to protect domestic industries, there are several other strategies that can achieve similar goals with fewer negative repercussions. By exploring these alternatives, policymakers can craft more balanced and effective economic policies. Gap 2S. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content. Stay tuned for our next episode where we delve into real-world examples of these alternatives in action and their outcomes. Gap 3S. Gap 3S. How are other countries responding to the threat of tariffs? This chapter takes a global perspective, examining the strategies and countermeasures employed by nations around the world. Understanding these responses is crucial for navigating the complex landscape of international trade. Gap 2S. One common response has been the implementation of retaliatory tariffs. Countries like China and the European Union have imposed their own tariffs on imports from the nations that initiated the trade barriers, creating a tit-for-tat scenario. Gap 2S, clip of a trade analyst. Retaliatory tariffs are a defensive measure aimed at protecting domestic industries and sending a strong message that unjust trade practices will not go unanswered. However, they can escalate tensions and lead to prolonged trade wars. Gap 2S. Another strategy is the diversification of trade partners. Countries are seeking new markets to reduce their dependence on any single trading partner. For example, India has been actively forging new trade agreements with countries in Africa and Southeast Asia. Gap 2S. Clip of an economist. Diversifying trade partners helps mitigate risks associated with tariffs and trade restrictions. It allows countries to tap into new opportunities and build more resilient economic networks. Gap 2S. Some nations are also focusing on strengthening regional trade blocs. By enhancing regional cooperation, countries can create larger, more integrated markets that are less vulnerable to external trade disruptions. For instance, the African Continental Free Trade Area aims to create a single market for goods and services across the continent. Gap 2S. Clip of a policymaker. Regional trade blocs provide a buffer against global trade uncertainties. They foster economic integration and can significantly boost intra-regional trade. Gap 2S. In addition, there is a growing emphasis on innovation and self-reliance. Countries are investing in research and development to reduce their reliance on imported goods and technologies. For example, South Korea has been heavily investing in semiconductor technology to become a global leader in the field. Gap 2S. Clip of a technology expert. Investing in innovation not only enhances a country's competitive edge but also reduces its vulnerability to external trade shocks. It is a proactive approach to building a robust and self-sufficient economy. Gap 2S, Gap 3S. In summary, countries around the world are employing a range of strategies to counteract the impact of tariffs. From retaliatory measures and diversification of trade partners, to strengthening regional trade blocs and fostering innovation, these responses highlight the dynamic and interconnected nature of global trade. Gap 2S. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content. Stay tuned for our next episode where we delve into real-world examples of these strategies in action and their outcomes. Gap 3S. Gap 3S. Now that we have explored global responses to tariffs, let's dive into a case study of a specific industry affected by these trade policies. In this segment, we will take a closer look at the steel industry, analyzing how tariffs have impacted production, pricing, and employment. This detailed examination will provide concrete examples of the broader trends discussed in the video. Gap 2S. Gap 2S. The steel industry has often been at the forefront of trade disputes and tariff implementations. When tariffs are imposed on steel imports, domestic production usually sees an initial boost, as local manufacturers aim to fill the gap left by restricted imports. Gap 2S. Clip of a steel factory. Tariffs on steel imports have led to increased demand for domestically produced steel, giving a temporary lift to local producers. However, this is often accompanied by a rise in steel prices, which can affect downstream industries. Gap 2S. Gap 2S. Higher steel prices can have a ripple effect across various sectors, including construction, automotive, and manufacturing. Companies in these sectors may face increased production costs, which can lead to higher prices for consumers or reduced profit margins for businesses. Gap 2S. Clip of a construction site. The increased cost of steel has led to higher expenses for construction projects, affecting overall budgets and timelines. Gap 2S. Gap 2S. Employment in the steel industry also sees mixed outcomes. While some jobs may be created in steel production due to increased demand, other jobs in industries reliant on steel may be at risk due to higher costs and potential downsizing. Gap 2S. Clip of a factory worker. While tariffs have secured some jobs in steel production, the higher costs have put pressure on industries that rely on steel, leading to job losses in those sectors. Gap 2S. Gap 2S. Additionally, the global supply chain is intricate and interconnected. Tariffs on steel imports can lead to retaliatory measures from other countries, affecting exports and further complicating the economic landscape. Gap 2S. Clip of a trade analyst. Retaliatory tariffs can create a challenging environment for steel exporters as they face increased barriers in international markets. Gap 2S. Gap 2S. In conclusion, the steel industry case study highlights the complex and multifaceted impact of tariffs. While some benefits may be observed in the short term, the long-term consequences can be far-reaching, affecting various sectors and the overall economy. GAP2S. Thank you for watching this in-depth analysis. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content. Stay tuned for our next episode where we will explore another industry affected by global trade policies. GAP3S.